Being the hour of 7 o'clock, we'll open the Selectmen's Meeting of February 24th. Before I begin the meeting, I'd like to call for a moment of silence. We lost 3 residents over the past week and a half. Gloria Wade, who was a member of the Housing Authority, served on the Founders Day Committee, Democratic Town Committee, and other committees in the community. Also, Philip Gagney, who served for many years on the Oxford Fire Department, and Arthur Boulay, who served on the Founders Day Committee, the Honor Guard, and many other committees in the town. So with that being said, please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. First item on the agenda is a public hearing, and it's a transfer of a wine and malt package store liquor license from 161 Southbridge Road, North Oxford, to 368 Main Street in Oxford.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like
Yes.
to step down right now. I have a business relationship with the applicant.
Okay? Let it be noted that Selectman Vos will not be participating in the public hearing. Okay, I'm going to read the public hearing notice into the record. Fuad H. Murad of 17A Framington Drive, Shrewsbury, Mass., has applied to the Oxford Board of Selectmen to transfer the license and change the location of the wine malt package store liquor license of Sun Beer and Wine of 161 Southbridge Road, North Oxford, Mass. Raji Patel, manager, to Oxford Enterprises, Inc., DBA, Oxford Sunoco Service Center. Fuad Y. Murad, manager, 366 Main Street, Oxford. This license will be exercised at 366 Main Street on the following described new premises: 2-story building, storage plus office, electrical room on basement level, 70 by 35 is main level, ground level contains 15 times 35 feet. Inspection bay, 55 feet by 35 feet for retail sales, including 10-door walk-in cooler, 2 tour freezers, 3 islands in center, first island shelving for beer and wine, 3-door cooler to be utilized for beer, remaining islands shelving for grocery items. Public hearing will be held before the Board of Selectmen regarding this matter on Tuesday, February 24th at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Selectmen's Meeting Room, 2nd floor, 325 Main Street, Oxford. Written and oral comments from the public will be accepted before and during this hearing. Signed by the Oxford Board of Selectmen. Would the applicant come forward, please?
Hi, guys.
How you doing? How you doing? Yeah, you can come forward.
Okay.
All right, do you want to explain in your own words as to what you're doing?
Okay, you know we're doing new construction going there soon, the weather breakdown. And we put in C-store with a convenience store, you know, now I try to update my store with the beer and wine. We, you know, put in like grocery, lottery, cigarette, you know, all drinks, coffee, donuts, bagels, you know, how the new system coming with the C-store. And I'm trying to transfer the license from beer and wine to my store. So if any issue, any problem, I would like to hear here.
Okay. Board members have any questions or concerns?
No, I'm all set.
I certainly don't have any concerns. I know the applicant. You've been in business here for many years in the town of Oxford.
22 years now.
Yeah,
Wow.
and you have a going business, well-liked in the community,
Thank you.
and I certainly appreciate you expanding and making a
It's gonna look
profitable
nice.
business here in Oxford.
Thank you.
And you have no problem with the transfer?
I have no problem with the transfer. Only one question, until ABCC approve his license, I can still operate my store, right?
That's right. The license is not turned over to him until it's been approved by the ABCC.
Okay.
We approve it, we send it to Boston, and then they have to approve it.
So at that time, I cannot operate anymore after his license comes.
After his license has been approved by the ABC, no.
No, right, but until then, I
Yes,
can operate.
yes, you can.
Okay, good,
Yep.
that's it.
Any other questions, concerns? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
I'll make the motion that we approve this transfer.
Okay,
First of all.
we have a second? Okay, it's been moved and second, discussion. There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, let the record show 3 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, and 2 abstentions, I'm sorry, and 3 in affirmative, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Access Oxford. How you doing, Dan?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
Excellent.
We're honoring your request to be on the agenda, so feel free to open it up and,
So I don't have much. The last time I was here, we had a discussion about getting a contract done, which we fully executed. Not this past Friday, but the Friday before. So now, as I've communicated with this board, we need the funding. The contract did not include any language that covered the period from the end of the first quarter 2014, and I'm talking calendar quarter, not business, not fiscal quarters like you guys run. So from the end of March last year, 2014, until present. So we've been operating for 11 months basically on funding that was intended for the end of the latter half of 2013 and the first quarter of 2014. So you have given us some funding in the meantime. Those numbers have been provided to you guys in all kinds of paperwork and reports, and we provided supporting documentation of what our expenses are and what we project going forward our expenses to be. So I'm just here to ask that you guys authorize the transfer of the $120,000 that you still are holding, so we can continue to provide service to the community.
okay. I know you've had conversation with the town manager
I have.
regarding this, and he had requested some information. So I'm going to yield to the manager at this point. Mr. Manager?
Yep, I did get some documentation as far as their expenses go for 2014, which I haven't had an opportunity to get into yet, but I did get some information for their actual expenses for 2015 and some projections for 2015. And before I got this information yesterday, I had asked the treasurer on Friday to reserve $45,000 as a potential disbursement to Access Oxford to reimburse them for the first 2 months and give them some money to continue operating for the rest of the quarter. So that's what I'd recommend that you do at this point. And
At
then,
this point,
And
and
then
then-
we can continue to sort through last year's money
Okay,
and decide what we're going to do.
okay. Board members, do you understand what the manager has recommended? So he's suggesting that we give him $45,000 now, and he and our finance department are still sifting through and
Yep.
finding out what kind of a schedule of payments.
Do they have any idea when that schedule or how much?
I'd like to have it resolved for the next meeting.
Well, the contract that we signed lays out what the payments are. What it doesn't lay out is or when the payments are supposed to be made. What it doesn't lay out is what happens to the money that up until January of 2014, Access Oxford was receiving directly from Charter Communications. So there's a big gap of money there that your lawyer refused to talk about, and I don't know if it was on instructions from this board or he just did it on his own. I have no idea. So what I'm trying to do is close that gap. We have provided everything that has been asked of us, including last minute documentation. And I don't blame you for wanting to verify what we're telling you we spend, because I would do the same. But we operated for 10 months with literally no funding. We were able to stretch what we had to this point. We literally, we're here tonight on good faith, hoping that we get money so I can pay my employees. If I can't pay my employees, these meetings don't get covered, the school committee doesn't get covered, all the things that we do, that we pay people to do, we can't do. I don't have enough of a volunteer crew to cover that. So that's why we have employees. I mean, as far as our expenses go, the bulk of it goes to salaries. That's probably no different than any business any of you guys are involved in. So, beyond that, we have rent, we have the streaming service, the video library. That's in the neighborhood of $6,000 a year. So I just want to make sure that we can continue to provide the quality of service that the people in town are expecting, and you guys are expecting from us.
You had
If I may, Dan, from what the town manager just mentioned, where I'm willing to make a motion, actually, I will make the motion to disperse $45,000 to Axis tonight. So I'm looking at, and he's talking about hopefully by the next meeting to have this all figured out so we could then revisit this same issue and go on from there. And I'm looking at 45,000 for 2 weeks. Wouldn't that suffice?
I'm not complaining. No, I'm not complaining about that at all. I will. Take
And I know what you're saying.
I will take the 45,000. I just want to
we
make sure
gotta-
it doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
We got a new
that-
man on the board, and he's trying to do.
He's come into a very tough position.
He's doing, to me, a phenomenal job at this point, and
Yep.
he's coming into a situation. He's just trying to cross his T's and dot his I's.
Sure.
And
Yep.
so, my motion would be to, hand over the 45,000, and then we'll revisit this in 2 weeks when he gets everything squared away for us.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, the motion made and seconded, discussion. I would just like to, just to add one thing, that I believe it's on the warrant for next week, right?
It's on the warrant, I think, for,
That we signed this week?
yeah.
I just want to let them know when they can expect to get the actual check.
Tomorrow, right?
Tomorrow? Okay. So the check will be available tomorrow once the board votes it.
Fantastic.
Okay. Okay, no further comments or questions. I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries. Good luck. We look
Great.
forward to working with you, and we're
Thank
glad
you.
that we finally got the contract resolved.
Yes, it
It's
was.
been a long haul.
It was quite the long haul.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you and I will continue to talk, and you know how to get hold of me. You guys all know how to get hold of me. I'm not hard to find. And this time I brought water in case Tony decided I needed some, and he wouldn't get me all wet. Sorry, Tony, I had to pick on you a little bit.
Thank you, Dan.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Okay. We're moving right along here this evening. That's good. Managers report.
Okay, we've got the minutes of June 17th, 2014 for your consideration. Pleasure of the board.
Entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion for discussion.
Okay, it's been moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and second. Discussion.
Well, I do read these things, and not to be, but I believe on page 4, the first paragraph, 9th line, we're talking, John Sad made a comment, and you say "I," and I think it should be "if," because the statement doesn't make any sense. So if you would check that, I'm sure that's the way it was supposed to be.
Thank you.
That's all.
Okay. Any other comments? There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Abstain.
Yes. 4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, motion carries.
Okay, you have the meeting minutes of February 10th, 2015 for your consideration.
Okay, entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion.
It says all members were present and one wasn't here.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
He points out five, and he points.
Hey, no, that's okay. I'll take him.
Okay. If there's no further discussion, I'll call for the vote.
Abstain.
Yes.
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 Yes, 4 in the affirmative, 1 abstention, motion carries.
You have a request from the police department to appoint Mrs. Prefontaine of Oxford, Mass. as a police matron for the town of Oxford.
Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded, discussion. There being none, I'll call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries.
DPW director reports about a $40,000 deficit, snow and ice removal. That does not include billing for our most recent salt order. We expect the deficit to get a little bit bigger as the winter goes on. We'll be running some areas leaner than others when it comes to staffing, so we can make up this deficit. If we do get the 75% FEMA reimbursement, then we'll be in much better shape, but right now we haven't heard anything on that. Maybe some weeks before we actually do hear.
Well, it's been our experience that the federal government moves at snail's pace.
Yes.
So we may be waiting probably a year for that money.
Well, especially if they don't pass that
Declaration.
declaration, right,
Yep.
by this Friday.
Okay.
You've got a letter of thanks that we've prepared from you to Acting Town Manager Dennis Power.
I'll
You'd like to
entertain
sign
a
it?
motion that we send the letter to Mr. Power in appreciation for what he has done for us while he was the acting town manager.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, there being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay. The police union and I had our first bargaining session today, and I can update you guys further on that in executive session. The Woodward School has been vacated. Repairing the building is going to be very expensive, and we've not had much luck in the past finding a tenant that can pay a rent that's going to be worthy of paying for the repairs. So I'm having the building winterized, and I'm going to get a demolition estimate together.
If I may, for discussion purposes, I did have the opportunity to go down there last week, I believe it was, or the week before, right after they had the incident with the roof leaking and the building inspector evicted them from the building. While I was there, the maintenance department was working on the boiler, so I went down, I looked at the boiler. The thing is ancient. It was backfilled with water. They were draining the pipes. And from what I understand from the maintenance people, that has been a constant concern, the boiler. In addition to that, walking through each of those rooms where the ceiling tiles had collapsed due to the water, once again, and we said it when we met with them, I'm talking the program that was in there,
Head Start.
Head Start. We told them that would be an expensive proposition because it needed a new roof, new boiler, and lo and behold, here we are in a situation where we certainly can't afford to make nearly $500,000 in repairs to that building. The rent that we were getting from Head Start was merely $1,400 a month, which certainly wouldn't pay to do any major renovations or repairs. We had problems in the past with pipes breaking, leaking. We've had mold problems. They had to remove walls in the basement. I would ask each member of the Board of Selectmen to please visit that building. I know that the manager is recommending demolition, and I certainly support that. It's just something that we're going to have to face. We don't have the money to put into it. It's an old building, but you really have to go there and see it to appreciate the fact that it just can't be repaired. We don't have the resources to do it. So before we take any vote, and we're going to have to put it on the town meeting warrant. The warrant closes the end of March, Mr. Manager. So if we're going to put an article on the town meeting warrant to demolish the building, I'd like to make sure that we're all on board on this. So if you have the opportunity, you can go to the maintenance department, Dick will give you the keys, or he'll escort you down there. Just take a look at it. It's really something each of us should look at before we make a decision.
John,
Yep.
the history of that building, it's been used by Head Start for how many years now?
12.
Is it that long?
12 years, and it's been in the town's possession, when I say the town, the municipal side, for the past 12 years. In the rent that we've been getting, it just hasn't been enough revenue there to do the repairs we need to do to that building.
No, in the revenue, I don't know why they set it up this way, but the revenue for the lease is actually going to the enterprise fund for the community center. So it's not being turned back to the building. And on top of that, the lease put the tenant in charge of maintenance. And most of the time, they didn't do the maintenance. They called us to do the maintenance. And so then we would charge them for the maintenance, and in many cases, we haven't been paid. So that we have $20,000 of outstanding maintenance bills for which we've not been paid.
Do you know where Head Start went to? Are they still in Oxford?
They're looking for space right now.
In Oxford, do you know? Or?
I know they have looked in Oxford. I don't know what they've come up with. But the last I heard, they were in search of space. And it could be in Oxford, it could be in any of the surrounding towns because they cover the whole area.
Do we have, how many square feet are they looking for? What is this, how big is that building now, the Woodward School?
Oh, I don't know offhand.
I was going to guess it was 6, and I
What do we
thought they
have?
were looking for 6.
Do we have enough available space in the community center? Or
I
I
know,
know,
we've got
I know we have some empty,
I think there's asbestos.
there's
pipe
the
there.
lead and asbestos issues in there.
They looked at that.
They looked at a site on Main Street that I think could work for them. In fact, I think she said, if I'm not mistaken, that she thought it was a great space too.
She did. But whether or not they go there is another thing. I know they're looking. Where they go, they're a private organization. We have no say over where they go.
right, obviously.
So. Okay, so I just wanted to give you a heads up on that, because if that's gonna come to a vote and we're gonna put an article on, we should all take a look at that. Thank you.
Okay, Girl Scouts Week is next week, March 8th to March 14th. We've prepared a proclamation for you in its honor.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to sign and approve the proclamation.
So moved.
Second,
Moved and seconded, discussion. Being none, call for the vote.
Yes.
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 Yes, 5 in the affirmative, motion carries.
Okay, this next item is a follow-up from my first meeting with you when you had a gentleman from the public asking you to look into electric aggregation. Was able to get in touch with one of the experts that does this out of Hampshire County Council of Governments, and they're willing to come make a presentation to explain what this is all about, how it works at your next meeting. In the meantime, we've also received a petition from Mr. Friend to add a question on town meeting as to whether the selectmen should study this matter. And the town clerk's in the process of verifying the signatures on the petition.
Okay.
If I may, can we contact Mr. Friend and just make him aware of this?
He should come to the meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that would be, and whoever else he
Right.
thinks. Okay, thank you.
The Splash Pad Committee met last week. They had a kickoff meeting. Their engineers assisting them with identifying the best location for the pad, whether that be at Treasureland or Carbuncle Park. This process has gotten started late. They were supposed to get started in the late fall. So given the fact that we're behind, it's going to be challenging to get this thing constructed this summer. It's not impossible, but it's just going to take some pushing.
Brian, I know that, I see the late start on it, kind of taken back a little, because they've been working on this thing they've been kicking it around for about a year and a half now, and so what is the major holdup at this point? I know we've had,
My understanding was they were supposed to have this initial meeting with their engineer back in November, and for one reason or another, everybody couldn't make the meetings, and then the holidays came around and people were busy and couldn't make the meetings, and then there were the snowstorms,
yeah,
and then people couldn't make the meetings.
and I've talked with some members of the recreational committee, and this splash pad thing has been a real thorn in everyone's side. There's a there's a frustration level with it that it just, they haven't been getting the assistance they've needed from the previous town manager and some of the department heads in town. Can you just keep an eye on this and maybe report back to us every once in a while on the progress of this project? Because it has been, you know, just, a real lengthy, drawn out, back and forth type thing. And I'd just like to keep an eye on it.
Sure.
Yes.
If I may, also, how was this committee established? I mean, I know I'm part of the Smith-Molesky group, and I had stated back in our meeting in this summer or whenever we had it there, and I said, gee, I'd like to be part of this, so I was curious.
I believe it was established by your acting town manager.
Oh, really?
And there's a member, I think there's 2 members of the Recreation Commission on it, and there's 2 residents at large on it.
Okay.
And then the Public Works Director and OCC Director are advising the committee.
All right, thanks.
You're welcome.
I'll do my research and find out when they're meeting. Thanks. Yep.
Okay, what else? 2 announcements. I just want to let the board know and the public know we've gotten a lot of positive comments from the public about the work the DPW's been doing. And Steve, our operations manager in particular, has been doing a great job keeping the guys motivated and out there. And I also wanted to send a message of thanks out for Troop 147 for assisting a person in need with some shoveling.
Good.
That's it.
That's it. Okay, selectmen's request.
Well, thank you, Chairman Sad. I did read those minutes like I stated earlier, and I know you weren't here, Brian, but I'm just curious, have we received any results? We were supposed to do a study of May Street in regards to the speed, location of the fence, maybe setting up no parking signs or something. We're talking quite a time frame. I was curious if, have we done that study? Are there any results? So if you could find
It's
out
news to
about
me.
that,
Yeah.
that'd be nice, because that just brought up, I'm
And
sure
that-
the residents from that area.
That was brought up in those June minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, it was brought up in the minutes, June 17th. That's how long it's been, so. And you did touch on something that I know I always commend them, because I think our DPW staff is phenomenal. I've had so many residents just applaud the fact that they're going down their side streets with their snow blower and blowing that snow out, making those streets wider. I've been working out of town, so I've seen some horrible plowing in streets. And when I drove in last weekend and saw how they cleaned up Main Street and just had widened up, they're doing a phenomenal job. They know, I tell them all the time, but you could send them a message from me saying that, keep up the good work, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Bose?
Excellent. Brian, I was in the community center last week. I'd asked the previous town manager on numerous occasions to look into the conditions of the bathrooms over there, and they are deplorable, to say the least. I don't know if you have any insight or as to why we haven't done any repairs in those bathrooms, but you walk in there, half of them are taped off, they're missing parts.
The only insight I could offer is
any idea?
we probably don't have the money allocated to do it.
We get rent.
Do we? Yeah,
Yeah,
Is that
we get rent, but what I'm finding is that the
not
revenue
sufficient.
that facility brings in pays for
No, that's fine.
less than 25% of its cost.
Wow.
And I understand that, but that building there is a great untapped resource. It just hasn't found its way.
It's a little rough around the edges.
Whether or not the revenues are handling all the expenses, I know the balance sheet isn't working there, but they are public bathrooms. The building is owned by the town of Oxford. I think the bathroom should be functioning and adequate, you know, regardless of whether or not we have the funding. Now, these are bathrooms. I think if we need to cut funding somewhere else to make sure we have proper restroom facilities, I think that's pretty important. You know, I mean, if we can't make repairs to our bathrooms, I think we've got to reevaluate what we're doing here in the town of Oxford. So, there again, can you look into that and see what it's going to take
Sure.
to possibly make repairs to the restroom so people can
Yep.
use the facilities there? You know, Dennis had touched upon the work that DPW has done in these past 3 or 4 storms, and I'm not a guy who praises people for doing their jobs, but when you go way above and beyond like they have, you know, it's been numerous. I think it's been 3 full weekends in a row. Those guys are working all sorts of crazy hours, and like Dennis said, the comments from the public are fantastic. And as you know, as a member of the Board of Selectmen, you don't get people running to you on a regular basis, you know, telling you what a great job everyone's doing in town. Usually it's, you know, my taxes are too high, or, you know, can you look into this, or, and I mean, they have every right to do that, the taxpayers, but the comments regarding the streets have been phenomenal across the board. All the people in town, the fire, EMS, the whole 9 yards, they've all been doing a fantastic job. So just reiterating what Dennis was saying, and pass along my thanks to those boys and girls over there. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I'd like to make a comment about our meeting 2 weeks ago. I received a lot of emails and complaints about it. The reason why I voted yes was if there's a change to be made, the board can talk about it all and do it. I agree we shouldn't have done it that meeting because we already offered in the position. It was the 11th hour move, but I figured we can all talk about it, and that's why I did that. And also with the town, yes, other surrounding towns, the streets look not that good. The driving on it, it's pretty bad, so I commend the staff.
Yeah, absolutely. The only other thing that I can say is that you definitely feel like you get what you're paying for when you drive down the main street, even side roads. The snowblower is like night and day difference, widening the streets, and it looks great. So they do a great job. That's it.
Well, I guess I have to chime in too. I guess we all said it. It's true. It must be true. I've heard the good remarks too. I've also heard a couple of remarks that weren't too nice, but you know, not everything is 100% in this world. But it's nice to know that at least 99% of the people appreciate what a wonderful job that those guys do. And I have to just make one comment that, you know, the past couple of years, we've been in tough shape financially, and the schools have been a drain. We've given a lot of money to support the school system, and I know the highway department over the past several years have foregone capital equipment. I can remember 2 years ago, they needed a truck, and they backed off on it so that extra money could go to the schools. So, you know, I just think that there has to be consideration for all the departments. Granted, the schools need our support. We need to have an excellent educational system in this community for our children, our grandchildren, but it can't be at the expense of every other department in the community. I think we all have to work together. There has to be a balance. There are needs across the board, including the schools. They need help. Schools really do need help, but so do other departments in the community. So when people go to town meeting, I hope that they keep that in mind, that go in with an open mind, go in with the understanding that it can't all go in one direction. It has to be a balanced budget, spending across the board. So I don't want to get on my high horse on this, but it just upsets me when I see some departments going without so that others can have a little extra. And it's sad because it's really not a little extra, because I know they need it as well. So it's like, we're in a catch-22 here, folks. There just isn't enough money to go around. So I'll get off my high horse on that, and I have nothing further. I believe that the manager is requesting an executive session under Section 3 of the Open Meeting Law to discuss contract negotiations. So with that being said, I'll call for a roll call vote to go into executive session.
Yes.
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 Yes.